Good afternoon, everyone. I'm C. Amita Bissa. It's my privilege to serve as moderator of today's webinar. We are delighted to welcome you all on the session organized by Committee on Commercial Laws, Economic Advisory, and NPO Cooperatives, that is CCLEA and NPO Committee of ICAI. Today's webinar on introduction of new labor codes is scheduled from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. We are excited to begin shortly. Let me have an introduction to our committee. The CCLEA and NPO committee is dedicated to empowering chartered accountants to contribute meaningfully to strategy and policy that unlocks economic, financial, and social values. Its core functions include providing analysis and knowledge dissemination, offering inputs to regulators for policy formulation, developing and publishing technical guidance and background materials, creating awareness about professional opportunities for chartered accountants in the field of commercial law, economic advisories, and NPO cooperatives. Let me have a privilege to introduce our eminent speaker for today's session, C.A. Chetan Agarwal. He is a distinguished member of ICAI and has completed his graduation and post-graduation from Rajasthan University and has since built a strong professional profile as a labor law consultant. With over 4 years of specialized experience in employment compliances, industrial relation, and workforce regulatory advisory, he brings a deep expertise in interpreting and applying key Indian labor legislations, including many such as Industrial Dispute Act, the new labor codes, and social security laws. He plays a central role in audits of major corporate and non-corporate clients and is proficient in conducting labor law audits, drafting and reviewing HR policies, ensuring statutory registers and written compliances, presenting organizations during labor inspections and proceedings. His advisory approach is known for balancing legal precision with practical business needs, enabling companies to minimize compliance risk and streamlining HR operations. We are honored to have him with us today to share his insight on the introduction of new labor codes, a topic of immense relevance to professionals and organizations alike. We are confident that his insight will be extremely valuable for our members, helping them to understand the evolving regulatory landscape and opportunities it presents. So we welcome you, sir. And the last note that there will be question answer session at the end of the presentation of sir. So over to you, sir, for your presentation.
Thank you, Amita. So that's visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
So good afternoon, guys. So all join or you have to wait?
After your presentation, it's already live.
Okay. Good afternoon, guys. So today our lecture is on India's new labor code. Recently, the central government was issued a notification on 21st of November implementing 4 new labor code. by replacing or repealing 29 existing laws uh, and making it simpler or compliance friendly, basically, we can say. So, we are starting our topic. Yeah. So, first of all, we'll see what are the new labor codes. Uh, if we talk about existing law, there was approximately 29 existing law. The government implemented four new labor codes by consolidating these 29 central law. Okay. Earlier, if we talk about pre labor code scenario, uh, still, I'm not saying that all the applicable laws were repealed by these new codes. There are still some law, like state labor laws. Like if we talk about Shop and Establishment Act, if we talk about professional tax, labor welfare, still these state specific laws are prevailing, and these acts are not repealed by these four labor codes, but the new four labor codes repealed existing 29 law. First of all, I'm sharing the details of the current law, which are repealed by these acts. So, these new codes, first code is the code on wages. Okay, so the code on wages was introduced by repealing four acts, which is the Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act, Bonus Acts, and Equal Remuneration Act. Okay, so these four law were repealed by the Code on Wages Act. If I talk about second labor code, which is the Code on Social Security, which repealed nine existing law, which are Employees Compensation Act, ESI Act, Employees State Insurance Act, Provident Fund, Employees Exchange Act, Maternity Benefit Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Senior Worker Welfare Act, BOCW Act, Building and Other Construction Worker, and Unorganized Worker Social Security Act 2008. So basically, these nine acts were repealed, and a new labor code, which is called the Code on Social Security. Our third code is Industrial Relation Code. Okay, so this code repealed the three central law, which is the Trade Union Act, the Industrial Employment Standing Order Act, and Industrial Dispute Act. And our fourth act, which is the Occupational Safety, Health, and Working Condition Act code, which repeal many acts such as Factories Act, Mines Act, Dock Workers, BOCW says, Plantation, Contract Labor Regulation Act, Interstate Migrant Workers, etc., etc. So basically, these existing 29 law were repealed, and only currently there are only four new codes. Okay, and the purpose of these code was to make compliance simplified. Okay, and to benefitize employees and even also employers also. So our new labor codes are the Code on Wages 2019, the Industrial Relation Code, the Code on Social Security, and the Occupational Safety Health Working Condition 2020. So, firstly, we will discuss the central government notification, which was issued on 21st of November by implementing these new codes. Uh, in that notification, there are some important discussion. Yeah. So the government announced implementation of four labor codes on 21st of November by issuing this notification. Okay. In our lecture, we will discuss the impact of these new labor codes on our current payroll system, current labor compliances, current employees benefit, what is the structure of payroll, what will be the CTC amount after implementing these new labor codes, what are other changes which have to employer follow, what new compliances which employee need to follow, etc., etc. Okay, so government issued this notification on 21st. So basically, we will discuss some important reforms which was as follows. The first reform is formalization of employment. Earlier, if we talk about current labor acts, okay, so basically pre labor reforms area, before implementing these new four codes, there was no mandate on issuing appointment letter uh, from employer side. Okay, so if employer hire any employee, so there was not a mandatory requirement to issue appointment letter to that worker. I'm talking about the contract workers, gig workers, or fixed term workers. Okay, so currently these requirements were formalized, and as per new labor codes, the government mandate all the employers to issue mandatory appointment letters to all workers, including contract labor, including gig workers, including fixed term employees, etc. So, uh, first of all, I want to clarify one thing. Actually, if I talk about new labor codes, so there are not a big change on amount of compliance or on amount of such reforms, but we will discuss that how these reforms were applicable to all persons. Earlier, if I talk about maternity benefit, if I talk about even appointment letter, so early even before labor codes, they the employer would issue appointment letter, employee issuing appointment letter. Okay, so now the appointment letter is made mandatory for all workers. Okay, so earlier employer generally does not issue uh, appointment letter to gig workers, contractual workers, or fixed term employees, so basically hiring for 1 month, 2 months. Now these requirements were also made compulsory for these type of workers. So next, our reform is
Just a question from my side. Any size of organization matters for this appointment letter, or irrespective of size of
no,
organization in
no,
this
no.
company?
Yeah, irrespective of size, these codes are applicable generally. If I talk about certain situation, so basically we are waiting for rules uh, of central government or state government. Still, rules are not published by the government. But in my opinion, these labor codes are applicable for all type of organization, and basically we can say,
Like PF and all, like we had that number of employees should be less
yeah,
than
yeah, yeah.
10. That's
That
not
limit,
applicable.
will be prevailing.
Hmm.
But clearly, if I talk about an organization 10 to 20 members, having 10 to 20 employees, so these codes will be applicable. Uh, still, if I say exact situation, so it will be clarified only after the rules. Next, move is on social security of platform or gig workers. Okay, so the government made compulsion for social security of gig workers, plantation workers, contract workers, such like daily wagers. If we talk about daily wagers, so earlier there was no specific provision that PF will be deducted for that type of workers. PF will PF generally employers does not follow compliances of gig workers, plantation workers, contract laborers, or daily wages. So now these codes were made strict compliances for even gig workers or platform workers or daily wages. The government clarified that the employer is liable to comply all the social security compliances such like PF, ESI, etc. for all type of workers, whether they are permanent, whether they are contractual, uh, gig workers, plantation workers, daily wages, etc. So now all these workers, all type of workers are covered under social security compliances. Basically, PF, ESI, Mediclaim, etc. Next is minimum wages. Okay, so if I talk about pre-labor reform, there are many differentiation on account of minimum wages. Okay, so first of all, if I talk about the term labor, labor is a matter of concurrent list. Okay, so the state and center both are empowered to prepare, both are empowered to enact law in respect of labor. Okay, so in India there are multiple labor laws for central level and for state level too. So minimum wage is fixed by state government generally. Okay, so if I talk about different states, there are different minimum wages. If I talk about Rajasthan, in Rajasthan there are approx 9500 approx minimum wages, which is very low. And if I talk about Maharashtra, there are approx 13,000 minimum wages. If I talk about Gujarat, still there are 12,500. If I talk about Karnataka, there are 15,000 plus. So minimum wages is different in different state. The new labor code, the new labor code made a provision of national minimum wages. Okay, or also called floor minimum wages, floor wages. Basically, under this, the central government will issue minimum wages which will be applicable on all the states. Okay, so state cannot, still the right to issue minimum wages is with state government. State government will only issue the minimum wages, but the central government will issue national floor wages, which so the state government cannot fix minimum wages in that state uh, below the national minimum wages or floor wages. Okay, so the government made a welcoming move by deciding national minimum wages. Thereby, if I talk about Rajasthan, and there are some other states also where minimum wages is very low, so the state will have to comply for that national minimum wages while fixing state minimum wages. Okay, so still I'm not saying that there will be a uniform minimum wages, obviously not, but at least it will be a minimum level, minimum assured minimum wages. Next, uh, uh, The government also made provision of payment of timely wages. Okay, earlier, if I talk about payment of wages act, so there are certain limits of paying wages. In pre-labor reforms, as per Payment of Wages Act, uh, there were two limits of paying wages to employees, wages or salary. Okay, if in the organization there was employees up to 1,000, so the date of payment of wages was 7th of next month. And if the employee size is more than 1,000, the date of payment must be at least on or before 10th of next month. Okay, so there was two limit of payment of wages earlier before these new labor codes, 7th and 10th. Now the government introduced two more labor, sorry, payment timelines under new labor codes, which is the code on wages. So as per the new code of wages, there are four timelines. If the employer is paying wages on daily basis, then the employer need to pay wages at the end of the day. That means the same day employer need to pay the wages to their employees. Okay. Again, if the employer is paying wages on weekly basis, then employer need to pay the wages or salary at the end of last working day. Okay. Here I'm using the word last working day. That means if the if in the organization the working week is for 5 day, like Monday to Friday, then the employer need to pay on Friday only, even not on Saturday. Okay, so for weekly payment, employer need to pay the wages at the end of the week, and which should be the working day. Next, if the employer is paying wages fortnightly or say twice in a month, so then employer need to pay the wages at least or uh, uh, within 2 day from the completion of that period, that 15 days period. Let's suppose if the employer is paying wages on wages for 1 to 15 and 16 to 30, so employer need to pay the wages of 1 to 15 on or before 17th, that is within 2 days, 16 and 17, or wages of 16 to 30 employer need to pay on 2nd of next month. Okay, and for other, like which are paying monthly wages, the employer need to pay on 7th, on or before 7th. The limit of 10th was removed in new codes. Okay, so now all the organization, even having more than 1,000 employees, has employer has to pay wages on or before 7th of next month. So this is the major change in payment time of payment of wages. Next, if I talk about certain other amendments, so earlier, as per Payment of Wages Act, if any employee is terminated by employer, okay, terminated or retrenched, so employer need to pay or settle their dues within 2 days from the date of termination or retrenchment. Okay, here these provisions were applicable on only retrenchment and termination, not resignation. If earlier, if any employee was resigning, then employer need to pay through regular cycle. Employer can pay regularly, like at the end of month, whatever. So in the new labor codes, that means the code on wages, the above time limit was also added for term resignation. Okay, so if now employee is terminating through employer or employee is resigning itself, the employer need to fulfill or employee need to settle their dues within 2 days from the date of such retrenchment, such termination, or such resignation. Okay, so this is a move which was generally not will not be accepted by employers or organization. That why in case of resignation also they have to pay or they have to settle their dues within 2 days from the date of such resignation. Next, preventive healthcare. So these new labor codes also made a provision. This is the new provision under these new labor codes. So government mandate that every employer must provide an annual health checkup to all employees having age 40 years and more. Okay, so the code also mandate that the employer need to provide annual health checkup, at least one, to all their employees having age 40 and more. Okay, uh, 40 years and more age the employee will get now annual health checkup free of cost from employer side. Okay, and the government also clarified that the amount of such health checkup will be solely borne by employer only. Okay, so employer cannot deduct such amount of health checkup from the salary of employees. So earlier there was no requirement of such health checkups. Next new amendment is women empowerment. Now the earlier, if I'm not saying that women were or females were not allowed to work in nights earlier also, but there was some permissions which have to be taken by employer. If earlier, if I talk about before pre-labor reforms situation, employer generally need to take approval from authority to employed females in the night shift for their works. Okay, now the females were permitted to work at night in all type of works. Even the females can work in hazardous organization. Earlier, there was a limitation in Factories Act and other Soap and Establishment Act that the women were not allowed to work in hazardous works or in nights shift, etc. Now the government freely issue direction or notification that females are allowed to work in night freely without any approval. Employer need not to take any approval from government side or authority side for employment of females in night. However, employer need to take care properly for their safety, security, and hygiene, etc. Such as installation of CCTV and services, providing cab services from and to home to office, office to home, etc. Now, employer need to do only such safety measures or install their safety measures in their organization, and employer can employ females in night in their organization. Next changes is these new labor codes were mainly focused on equal remuneration, equal work, without gender discriminating, and etc. etc. So these four labor codes also deals in equal remuneration, equal opportunity also. If an employer issue that invitation that I need only male staff only, I will hire only male staff, I will hire only female staff. This will also not this will also not work. However, if he hire or if he invite for any particular position, that will be okay. But in general, he cannot invite or cannot advertise that he will hire only male staff only. He will hire female staff only, etc., etc. Next, these labor codes were also deals in benefiting all type of workers, as in like gig workers, contractual workers, permanent workers, temporary workers. That all these workers will get the same type of benefits in terms of social securities, in terms of safety, in terms of health, etc. That if permanent employees are getting food free of cost in the organization, then employee need to pay the food, or employee need to arrange the food for temporary workers also. So it will not work that the employer is providing food to only their permanent workers. He have to provide food to all type of workers engaging in their organization. Next major change is ESIC coverage. Earlier, if I talk about pre-labor reform situation, so ESIC is applicable uh, on state-wise state. Basically, state government notifies the area uh, in which ESIC is applicable or not. There are also some states where fully notified area available, such like Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, Rajasthan is a state of fully notified area state as per ESIC, where it means that ESI is applicable in every place of Rajasthan. Okay, but if I talk about Gujarat or Maharashtra, so there are some uncovered area. Okay, so where ESIC is not applicable, ESI is officially issued notification for applicability of new area or etc. So ESIC officially issued that area also, that the ESIC is not applicable in such particular states, or applicable partially in that area. Now, in these new labor codes, that means the code on social security, the government focused on applicability of ESIC on pan India basis. Basically, the purpose of the code is that ESI will be applicable pan India. Now, the concept of non-notified area, partially notified area is uh, stopped. Next, if we, I talk about the registration proceedings, registration process of ESIC. Under pre-labor reform situation, ESI is applicable on where number of employees are 10 or more in the organization. Okay, so employer cannot take registration below such limit of 10. Okay, now the government issue notification that ESI employer can take registration of ESIC on voluntarily, not the statutory limit, through statutory limit. That means that if the employer having two or three employees, then also he can take registration of ESIC voluntarily and provide a benefit to their employees of ESIC. Now, also it is also made mandatory that in the hazardous industries, like where hazardous chemicals or machinery were used, so where ESIC made mandatory even on a single employee. If that industry having a single employee, then also ESIC will be applicable on that industry. Next, ESIC also provide. Sorry. Next, ESI also provide coverage to all the employees, like permanent, temporary, contractual, gig workers, daily wages, etc. Next change is for compliances. So earlier there are 29 laws, different 29 laws. So basically, employer need to follow such 29 law as per their applicability. So there is a situation of multiple registration, multiple compliances, multiple returns as per different laws. Now the move of government or purpose of government is that uh, there there are or there should be a single, sorry, there should be a single registration or single return for all these four codes. Okay, so if on any employer, if these four codes are applicable, then such employer need to take registration, single registration for all four codes, and he have to comply uh, singly or centrally for all compliances of these four codes. Okay, if I talk about Contract Labor Regulation Act, there are multiple compliances in the part of contractor or principal employer. So now, by introducing these new codes, or obviously we are waiting for rules. So the purpose of the government is that the compliances will be made easy. Next, uh, next reform is on for fixed term employees. Okay, so fixed term employees means any employees is hired for a particular period. Okay, let's suppose for 2 months, for 6 months, for 2 years, for 1 month, or for a particular period, whatever. So earlier, these fixed term employees were uncovered for many things, such as social security, such as gratuity, etc. Now the government made amendment in such four codes and made applicable gratuity, that the fixed term employee will get gratuity only after 1 year. That means the completion of 1 year service. Earlier, if I talk about earlier situation, the gratuity is payable to an employee which serve 5 year continuous service in the organization, except death or some other circumstance which was not under the control of employee. Okay, so a general rule is that if employees serve 5 years, employee do continuous job for 5 years, then only he will be eligible for gratuity. Okay, for normal employees, still the limit is for 5 years. There are no change in limit of 5 years in gratuity. But for fixed term employees means such employees which are which was hired for a particular period, and which are specifically mentioned in their appointment letter also. Okay, now appointment letter is mandatory. We have already discussed that appointment letter is mandatory for an employer. uh, that employer will issue appointment letter to all their employees, including gig workers also, even daily wages. So the employer need to specifically mention the term of employment, that the term of employment is for 1 year or 1.5 year or 2 years. So if such employees serve for 1 year, then they will be mm, they will be eligible for gratuity even after completion of 1 year services. Okay, so earlier there was a single limit of gratuity, that is 5 years. Now there are two limits. Actually, there are three limits. One is for normal employees, that is 5 years, which is same as previous. Second is 1 year for fixed term employees, which is newly issued, and third limit is 3 years for working journalist. Okay, if employee is doing job as a journalist, then he will get gratuity only after serving 3 years continuous service. Okay, rest provisions are same, such as serving 240 days or more in a year will be considered as 1 year, etc., etc. So the new provision is only for in market. There are myth about the gratuity. I have also received many queries that employees are asking that gratuity will be applicable only after 1 year. No, no, it will be applicable only after 1 year, only for fixed term employees. Okay, so for normal employees, the limit of 5 years is as it is. Next amendment is the fixed term employees will also get the benefits equal to permanent workers. Okay, including leaves, medical, social security, etc. Employees will fixed term employees will also get equal leave, which are provided to their permanent employees. If permanent employees are getting Mediclaim or other medical assistant from employer side, sorry, fixed term employees will also get same benefit. Equal pay. Fixed term employees will also get equal wages as permanent staff. Okay, employer cannot uh, employer cannot distinguish between fixed term employees or permanent staff in terms of payment of wages. Okay, now if fixed term employees is doing same work as permanent, then fixed term employees will also get same package or same value of money for their job. Next is for gig or platform workers. So government also focused on unorganized sector. Government announced that there are high chances, even after implementation of such new labor codes, that gig workers or platform workers will not get benefits as provided in the code. So government made a provision of creating a fund of gig workers such as Ola, Uber, Zomato, Swiggy, etc. So government made a provision that these type of companies will create a fund by contributing 1 to 5%. मतलब between 1 to 5% of their turnover will be transferred to such fund, and such fund will be used for the benefit of such gig workers. Gig workers will have to register in that fund, and they will get benefits in terms of many services. Same like BOCW Act. Okay. Under BOCW Act, Building and Other Construction Workers Act, employer or owner of the property, owner of the constructed property need to pay 1% labor cess to state government, and such building worker need to register on their portal, and they get many services such as medical services, education, etc. So the government also made provision for such type of arrangement for gig workers also. Now the companies are directed to create a fund and contribute in the fund 1 to 5% of their turnover. Okay, and such fund will be used for gig workers welfares. There are more changes such as contract workers, fixed term employees will increase employability and ensure social security. mm, Social security benefit to contract workers also. Employer need to provide social security benefits to contractual workers also. Earlier, many employers uh, generally they not provide benefits to their contractual workers, but now the government made strict provisions under these new codes that employer need to provide benefits to contractual workers also. Next is woman worker. Gender discrimination legally prohibited. We have already discussed that employer cannot discriminate uh, by gender, and also, of course, equal pay for equal work. Employer need to pay equally for same type of works, even to permanent contractual fixed term employees, and even to male and female employees. Some benefits were also made for MSME workers, such as minimum is guaranteed. Uh, Workers of MSME units will get proper canteen, drinking water, rest area. Female employees will get crutches, etc. Of course, overtime payment has legally made double. Earlier also, there was a provision of double payment for overtime wages, but these these four code will be applicable on all organization. Okay, so earlier the provision was in factory jet, so these provision were applicable on factory only or any commercial establishment. But now these codes are applicable on all organizations. So basically, every employer need to pay double for overtime wages. Next, 12 hours working allowed. Okay, so earlier maximum working hours was 9 hours in a day. Okay, including spread 10 and half. Okay, but now 12 hour working in a day allowed in these new codes, provided employer cannot employee will not work beyond 48 hours in a week. So maximum working hours are fixed as it is, which is 48 hours. Earlier also there was limit of 48 hours weekly, and now the limit is same, such as 48 hours per week, but employee are allowed to work 12 hours in a day. Okay, so employee employer can uh, employer can run their organization by 4 week policy also. So there will be 3-day leave in that case, and maximum overtime allowed is kept fixed, which is 50 hours in a quarter. Okay, as per Factory Act, earlier Factory Act, maximum overtime is allowed for 50 hours in a quarter. That means in 3 months. Okay, so now the provision of such overtime or regulation of such overtime can be changed by state government. If I talk about recent notification of Haryana government, so Haryana government increased their overtime working uh, from 50 to 156 hours in a quarter. So basically, in Haryana, an employee can work 48 hours in a week, which is normal time, and for 156 hours in 3 months as overtime. But not in other states where no notification was issued regarding overtime. And state government can make a specific provision regarding overtime and all. Next is for bonus. If I talk about bonus, so earlier also bonus is employees eligible for bonus. The only condition is that the employee need to work for at least 30 days in a year. So the limit is same in these new four codes also, but the code is applicable on all organization and specifically unorganized sector also, such as gig workers, contractual workers, etc. So these workers will also get such bonus. Here the bonus is stage 3 bonus. I'm talking about stage 3 bonus, not performance bonus. Okay, the performance bonus is separate from this. The This bonus need to be paid by the employer mandatorily, which is 8.33% or maximum capped at 20%. There are also some provisions or also some regulation for plantation workers, audio, visual, digital media workers. So basically, the main purpose of the code is to focus on unorganized sector also. Okay, so these are the important changes which was introduced by the government on 21st of November by introducing these new four codes. So now we will move on our PPT. If you have any doubt, you can ask me directly in chat box or at the end of the session.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I have a lot of questions here coming up. Let me read it for you. The first question is from Meg Kumar Kothari. What is the nature of bonus based on performance or on happening of some event and is payable in the next year? Is the form is this form part of gross pay?
No, actually, I have clarified that this bonus is stage 3 bonus, not performance bonus. This bonus need to pay mandatorily by every organization. Okay, so there are some relaxation like for newly organization, which was mentioned in Act. However, for running unit, the bonus is mandatory. The time limit of payment of bonus is on or before 30th November of next year. Okay, so for a year ending on 31st March 2025, the employee need to pay bonus on or before 30th November 2025 for that period. Okay, minimum bonus is 8.33% of basic and DA, and maximum bonus is 20%, which is calculated as per rules, allocation surplus, and there are formula provided in the bonus act, and for after these calculation, the bonus is payable.
Yeah.
And
Next question, sir.
sorry.
The next question is, please
One-
suggest basics.
And the employer, one more thing, the employer can legally set off the customary bonus, or like Diwali bonus. If the employer is paying Diwali bonus, then employer can set off Diwali bonus from this statutory bonus. Okay? Or even employer is allowed to pay such statutory bonus monthly. You can pay such bonus. Let's suppose your bonus amount for a year for an employee is 12,000. Okay, for a year. So you can pay 1,000 every month through their ways. Okay, through their salary. So there are sufficient compliances. Yeah.
Yeah, next question, sir. Please suggest basic salary as per new wage code, 50% of
Yeah,
gross
ma'am.
or fixed CTC
We will
or total CTC.
we will move on this in next 10 minutes. I am taking this query in our system.
Okay, sir. So should I continue with some more questions, or your presentation is? Sir, should I ask more questions? Yeah. Can we get PPT for this topic?
Sure. I'll send the PPT once the session is completed. I'll share it with you, and you can share it.
Is one more question is from Rohit Tendulkar. Sir, is appointment letter to be issued retrospect? That is from previous date.
Yeah, of course. The government suggested in these new codes, the government suggested and government provided 4 month time to employers to comply with new provisions such as appointment letter. If let's suppose I have 20 employees in my organization, and there are no appointment letter issued previously. So, sorry, I can comply within 4 months or within the deadline as provided by government, and I can issue retrospectively appointment letter.
Okay. So the next is this applicable even if the employee is one in an organization? From Krishna Murthy. This question.
Actually, this is the I will not suggest any tentative figure right now. Actually, we are also waiting for rules. We will discuss in next few minutes that there are some changes that will also making conflicts right now. But due to but right now we don't have any rules, supporting rules of these codes. So once the government clear situation or government clarify by issuing rules, these applicability will also be clear, that which code will be applicable. Still the government has made a clarification that unless the rules are issued, employer need to comply with existing law or along with new labor code. If there are some conflict between new labor code and existing law, you can choose existing law also right now.
Yeah, one more question is from my side. Are interns like medical interns, C articles, will the situation change if company hires under government national apprenticeship training program or under any other program for less than 1 year or more than 1 year?
Actually, I didn't get your point.
Like C articles, they are fixed. I am talking about that fixed term employment.
Okay,
Under that is CA articles.
No, actually, CA,
trainees
got it.
under national
CA
plan.
articles are covered under special act, which is CA Act. Okay, and if any employee or any apprentice is covered under Apprentice Act. So basically, our articles are covered as per Apprentice Act. So, on apprentice, these provisions, apprentice will not be considered as employee unless they are covered as per any statutory act, like Apprentice Act. So if any employer is providing training to trainee or any hiring any apprentice which are not as per Apprentice Act, then such trainee will be covered as employee. So in
Next
our
question.
CA firm, if let's suppose we have 5 partner and uh, uh, we have 50 articles, so such articles are not our employee in as per code, as per these code.
Next question is there. Can you explain what is the minimum bonus statutory required to pay? It's already covered 8.33%.
8.33% for basic and DA.
Yeah. The next question is, so whether payment of bonus is applicable to all employers. Further, code of wages is applicable to CA firm as well. It is also explained by
Of
you.
course, payment of bonus act is applicable on all organization. Uh, Again, I will clarify that once rule will be finalized, then only we will confirm that a new labor code will be applicable in terms of bonus or not to every employee. Still, if I talk about current situation, bonus act is applicable, and the limit of bonus is 8.33% minimum, and the employee having basic salary of up to 21,000 is covered under bonus act.
This question
There
is
are
from
still
Manjuna.
some requirements of employees, such as ESI is applicable on 10 or more employees, PF is applicable on 20 or more employees. So unless the new rules were not framed, these requirement will be continue.
Yeah, so I'm taking next question from Manjunath M. Is organization covered under Shop and Establishment Act covered for formalization of employment, example shops, SME, etc.?
Actually, Shop and Establishment Act is the matter of particular state act. Okay, so in India, there are different provision in different shop acts, different state shop acts. There are different wage rates. There are different leaves policies. There are different holiday lists in every state. So of course, the provision may be specific. You can your answer is yes, but not in all states. There may be a different. If you mention a particular state, then only I can clarify.
Okay. State is not mentioned here in the question. The next question, sir, can I take up this one from Sushil Kumar Dalmia? Sir, is ESIC mandatory or voluntary for organization having less than 10 employees?
Currently, it is currently there are no option of voluntary registration. Okay, so if we have less than 10 employees, we cannot opt ESI registration. Still, see, I'll tell you some example. Like I'm talking about contractors. Okay, generally contractors which deals in government contracts and all. So basically, their requirement, like from government perspective, requirement of bidding, etc., is contractor is must be registered in PF and ESI. See, so generally, contractors take registration of PF and ESIC even without having requisite number of employees. Uh, if I talk about PF, so under PF Act there are provision of voluntary registration. Okay, but in ESIC there are no provision of voluntary registration. I'm talking about pre-labor reform situation. Okay, so if I want to take registration under ESIC Act, I have to mention that I have 10 and more employees. Okay, whether actually I have or I haven't. So under new labor code, the government proposed that employer is allowed to register under ESIC voluntarily. Still, there are no facilitation or there are no rules regarding this provision. So again, if once the rule will come, only after the voluntary registration were allowed. Still, if I talk about till date, so till date there is not possible to register in case of less than 10 employees. Even when we will do registration process, so the portal will not accept if we mention less than 10 employees.
Understood. The next question is from Swati Das. Existing organizations to take new registration again under the new labor code. And
No.
again, one more question.
No, existing organization having PF, ESIC, contractual labor. So basically, if I talk about weight to GST system, so government facilitate that VAT registration will be automatically transferred to GST. So there are high chances that such registration will be turned into a new labor code registration. Still, from government side, there are no clarity on this. But in my opinion, it will mostly there are mostly chances that it will happen.
One more question from Swati ji. It's if a fixed term employee is hired for 5 months or less than 1 year, will gratuity be still payable?
No. I mentioned that minimum continuous service is for 1 year. Huh?
Yes, sir. Then one question in the same line, KKBRs. So freelancer consultants who will be engaged for employer work for specific assignment can be considered as FTE, fixed term employee.
Firstly, if there are two circumstances that for freelancing workers generally are not treated as employees. Okay, so if you are getting wage as per wages law or as per labor acts, so if you are taking salary, if you are registered under payroll of that company and your PF and ESI is deducted by company, then you are treated employee and you will get all the benefit of such a code or such labor code. But for if you want to be treated as fixed term employees, so the basic condition is in your appointment letter the fact should be mentioned specifically that your appointment is for 1 year only, your appointment is only for 2 years, your appointment is fixed for uh, 1st April 25 to 31st March 26, that type. You in your appointment letter there should be clearly mentioned the fact that you are hired only for a particular period, not for a project. If you are hired for a project, so sometimes companies generally mention that the employee are hired for a particular project, so the particular project is not certain. Okay, so you are treated as regular employees or other contractual or whatever policy, but you are not treated as fixed term employees in that case.
Okay. Another question is, what will be the provision of gratuity in case of contractual employee or temporary employee from May?
Same. There are no difference for temporary employees or contractual employees. They will get same benefit as permanent in terms of gratuity. So, next.
Yes, sir. Next question. Mm. Which provision can be state government can vary and how much? It's not a very clear question to me. Sushil Kumar Dalmia. Sir, which provisions can be state government can vary and how much?
Okay, unless the central government specifically mention that such provisions are fixed and need to be followed through state central policy. Also, there are some state central act which are followed by every state government. For state acts such as, for example, minimum wages act. So, generally, the minimum wages is fixed by state government only. There are no intervention of center in minimum wages of every state government. But in new labor codes, the government intervened it and made a provision of national minimum wages, which is called floor wages. So now the government, state government need to follow such provisions, such type of provisions. Okay. So firstly, in short, for central act, all central act need to be followed by state government, and for state acts, unless specific direction should be followed by state governments.
The next question is, will social security and gratuity will be applicable to consultant on retainer basis? There are a lot of questions on retainers, sir. Their position, people need to get clarified.
Okay. So basically, I'm didn't get your exact query. What type of retainership? Like if you are a consultant, so basically you are a consultant, then you are not an employee. So no question of social security, etc. And
Contractual consultant working as employee is gratuity payable. There's one more question. People getting like this.
consultant working as employee. So basically, that is not consultant. Okay, that is employee only. So all the provision will be applicable. The crux is any type of employee, whether consultant, whether even if I talk about a listed company, so listed company or other companies, other even private companies having turnover of a specific limit need to appoint a company secretary, right? So these company secretary are treated as employee. Okay, even MD directors, full-time directors are also treated as employee. So basically, the provisions are also applicable to these professionals or these managerial persons also. So if you are employee, then whether you are consultant or in any capacity, you are just employee. Okay, and all the provisions will be applicable on you. And if you are consultant, so basically you can justify or distinguish that if you are getting remuneration and deducting by, like, just like if you are getting your remuneration and after deducting TDS, like TDS under section 194J, then of course you are not employee. And if you are getting TDS under section 194C, etc., of course you are not employee. If you are not the company is not deducting TDS even and paying to you, then also you can be treated as employee. So basically that situation uh, will be decided by litigation through courts maybe. But if you are employee, then you are employee. Okay, so just do not bifurcate in consultant or anything else.
So the next question, are the new codes applicable to states without passing any notification? Do they apply?
Of course, the new codes are central code now.
Mhm. Yes, sir. The next question is gratuity computation to be on the basis of 50% of the basic salary, whether any impact on past accrued gratuity will be there or it is prospective computation.
Gratuity, actually not on 50% salary. Gratuity is payable on basic plus DA uh, uh, by multiplying 15 and by dividing 26. Okay, so we cannot say that it's 50%. We can say that 50 gratuity is payable for a 15 days, equal to 15 days payment of basic and DA out of 26 in a year. So, in simply, for every year service, we will get 15 days basic plus DA amount.
And other part of the question is whether any impact on past accrued gratuity will be there.
No, there are no changes in gratuity. So, how it will impact? So
Yeah.
the main changes is for fixed term employees only. And if okay. So your point is like ki earlier
Accrued.
basic maybe 40%, 30%. Now as per new codes, basic requirement is 50%. So the provision will be accordingly increased. If last year, let's suppose last year the provision was made for 10,000, in current year you can make provision for 12,000 if the amount is increased.
Next question is, sir, what about the college students doing internship in companies?
Again,
Internship.
if the company, if the that employee or that person, sorry, that student is covered under Apprentice Act, then he will not be treated as employee. Otherwise, he will be treated as employee.
Okay. This question is from Atif. I am working in an organization on contractual basis, 1 year contract. Where can I submit my request after 1 year for
Contractual
gratuity?
employees are not fixed term employees. I also clarified that there are a myth that the contractual employees are also treating themselves as fixed term employees. Fixed term employees will only be considered if the fact is mentioned in your appointment letter. Like there are there are a point considering that you have been hired for a particular period of 1 year, you have been hired for a period April to December, a particular date to date, then only you will be treated as fixed term employees. If you are contractual employee, then you are not fixed term employees.
Okay. So the next question from Arun Kumar. Canteen facility provided to on-roll employee free, whereas contractor is paying for contract labor. Is it okay under new code?
No, they actually, if a contractor is paying, then okay. Okay. So basically, there are owner and employee, employer and employee. Contractor and principal employee both are employer and employee, whether permanent or contractual employee are employee. If the employee, contractual employee are paying, then is the problem. Otherwise, if contractor is paying, then there is no problem for in terms on employees or on organization.
Okay. Next
Or
question
even
is,
contractor
sir,
cannot deduct such amount from contract labor, contract employees.
the next question is code is applicable from 21st November, but my contract duration is July 1 from 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Am I still eligible?
For what? Like fixed term employees?
Hmm. Its contract duration is more than around a year, July 1 to June 26. And the code is applicable on 21st
Uh,
November. So it's not mentioned specifically in the query, it's contractual or fixed term.
if you are talking about fixed term employees, then obviously you will be treated as fixed term employee just because your employment will be ended in new era, like in new labor
One
code
year.
period.
Sir, next question from Shreya. The clause of working hours and overtime is applicable on only workers or employee as well?
On both.
Both. Is there any impact on BOCW cess due to the new labor codes?
No, there are no major impact. Even no minor impact.
Whether ESIC registration will be necessary for a CA firm with less than 10 employees under new code?
No.
Less
In
than.
my opinion, ESIC limit will be 10 in new labor code also. So basically, in new labor code or as per previous law, there are not mandatory for less than 10 employees. If you have more than 10 employees, then ESI is applicable even in CFM for their employees, not articles.
Okay.
And if you
My
have
question is if FTE already joined before 20th November,
again ये same question FT I will in my opinion it will be considered FTE if their employment ended in after implementing the code unless the rules specifically deny right now there are no clarification regarding this point.
so these are the set of questions. I had some are repetitive questions. So the different questions I have already discussed, which have come popped up. Should we wait for more questions?
Yeah. So should we move?
Yes, sir.
So this is the implementation timeline and current status. Of course, we all know that 29 existing law. We have already checked the name of these 29 law. These were repealed in August 29. Of course, the code on wages received presidential assent and in September 29, 2020, three remaining code, that is the code on social security, industrial relation code, and occupational safety, health and working condition code, was received presidential assent, but due to central government's whatever the reason behind the government doesn't did not make implementation of these new codes. Finally, on 21st of November 2025, these codes were implemented. Okay, so now we will talk about the code on wages. So, firstly, universal minimum wages. We have already discussed that the central government will issue a national minimum wages. We can also call floor wages applicable across all sector and employment type, ensuring no worker is paid below the national minimum threshold. So I have already discussed that the generally the right to issue, right to decide the minimum wages is with state government, but the central government will issue a limit. Okay, so every state government will have to follow that limit, and state governments cannot issue or cannot decide minimum wages below that level. Okay, let's suppose central government issued minimum wages which is 12,000. So if I talk about Rajasthan state, so in Rajasthan the minimum wages is currently minimum wages is less than the national minimum wages. So the Rajasthan government need to increase their minimum wages. Next is timely payment. I also discuss about timely payment. So basically, there are four limits. If the employer is paying daily, then employer need to pay at the end of the day. wages to their employee. If the employer is paying weekly, employee need to pay at the end of a week. At the end of week, but that end period should be working day. Okay, at the end of the working day of the week, basically we can say, like if the working week is for 6 days, then the employee need to pay for Monday to Saturday on Saturday evening. Okay, and if the working week is for 5 days, employee need to pay on Friday evening. If the employment week is for 4 days, then even employer need to pay on Thursday evening. Okay, for Monday to Thursday work, for 4 day work, like 4 day 12 hours allowed, right? 12 hours allowed in new codes for a day. So basically 12 into 4, 48 hours maximum allowed. So uh, that wages will be payable on Thursday evening. Okay, only, not on Friday or not on Saturday or not on Sunday. And if the employee is paying 15 days wages, so employee need to pay within 2 days from the end of that period, like for first to 15 on or before 17, and for 16 to 38 on or before second of next month. And for if the employee is paying monthly wages, then employee need to pay on or before 7th. The limit of 10th is removed. Uh, Now one more thing, actually, the sorry. Earlier, the employee need to pay full and final settlement amount, or employee need to pay the final dues amount in case of retrenchment or in case of termination within 2 days from the date of termination or date of retrenchment. But as per the code on wages 29 2019, the resignation is also added in the provision. Okay, so in the resignation also, employee need to pay or employee need to settle their dues within 2 days from the date of resignation. Okay. Next, equal pay for equal work. Of course, government focused on the equality in wages. So basically, employee need to set the policy or set the procedures so where every person will get equal remuneration irrespective of wages, irrespective of the class of workers, not category, like temporary, permanent, gig, contractual, FT, whatever. Next is inclusive coverage. So basically, the government focused on every type of workers will get the benefit, all the benefit, and same benefit. Like gig workers, contractual workers will also get the same benefits. So now we will talk about payroll structure. Okay, so as per the code on wages, the wages is also fixed. Basic wages is also fixed as 50%. Okay, however, there are no specific mention that the basic should be 50. You can decide any amount as basic. The language of the act is that once again I'll share you. Okay. So this is the definition of wages as per the Code of Wages Act. So wages means all remuneration, whether by way of salary, allowance, or otherwise expressed in terms of money or capable of being so expressed, which would, if the term of employment expressed or implied were fulfilled, be payable to a person employed in respect of his employment on work and includes. Okay. So inclusion part is basic, DA, and retaining allowance. Okay, so retaining allowance. What is retaining allowance? You all know. Retaining allowance means the any amount paid to employees for retaining that employee, such like COVID situation. So in COVID, employer had paid their employees without the work. Okay, so if employer is paying to employees without any work, just for only for retaining that person. So such amount is called retaining allowance. Okay, so this is basically we will talk about basic and DA. Generally, retaining allowance is not in every circumstances. There should be a specific condition. So in wage there are basic and DA, and what is excluded but it does not includes. Okay, first is bonus, second is HRA, and other light, water, medical, etc. amenities. Okay, third is PF or pension or employer contribution. Fourth is conveyance. Next is defray special expense. Next is house rent allowance. Next is remuneration payable under any award or settlement. Next, overtime allowance, commission, gratuity, retrenchment. Okay, so basically, what is the definition of wages? Wages means every type of payment payable to employee includes part is basic and DA. So we are not talking about retaining allowance, and exclusion part is any specific services provided by employer, HRA, bonus, gratuity, overtime, and retrenchment commission, etc., commission, etc., which are not uh, included in salary. So next proviso is decide the basic amount. Okay, provided that for calculating the wages under this clause, if payment made by employer to employee under clause A to I. Okay, A to I means gratuity and retrench, except gratuity and retrenchment. So basically these two clause will be applicable in case of job retirement or job termination, etc. Okay, so yeah, if the payment made by employer under A to I exceed 1 hour or such other percent which as may be notified, still no notification about this. So if the payment by employer under A to I exceeds 1 half of the total payment, such 1 half shall be deemed and accordingly added back to uh, inclusion part. That means basic and DA. Okay, so there are no direct requirement to follow 50% basic, but indirectly the government clarified that the basic wage should be at least 50%. Okay, you are whatever you can put basic just like 30%. Okay, so if your balance part is 70, then total so basically, excess of 50% of other part, exclusion part, will be added back to basic and DA. So the ultimately the impact is that basic must be or basic at least should be 50%. Okay, so earlier there are no requirement to fix such basic wages like at least 40 or at least 40. The impact of the this amendment is that is on PF, ESIC. Of course, there are increased PF deposit in terms of employee contribution. So employer will get slightly reduced in hand salary, of course, but their their in PF contribution will be increased. Next is Industrial Relation Code. Industrial Relation Code basically repealed Trade Union Act and Standing Order Act. So earlier, if we talk about pre-labor reform situation, so earlier there was a requirement of uh, retrenchment and applicability of standing order. Okay, so if the employee size is 100 and more, then standing order is applicable. But now the standing order is made applicable on the organization having 300 plus workers. Okay, for defining service condition and employment terms. So now, if the employee is having 100 to 300 employees, so in pre-labor reform, that employer uh, follow we need to follow such standing order instruction, but now such employer is out from applicability of standard order. Earlier, if the employer need to retrench or lay off or close their organization, so the then such employer need to take prior approval of authority or government if the employer size above 100. Okay, 100 and more. So now, by introducing these new codes, the employer having establishment having 300 plus workers is applicable for these prior permission. So if we let's suppose if the employer having 150 employees earlier, he want to retrench or terminate any employee or lay off any employees, not terminate, sorry, retrench or lay off. So for layoff, he need to get approval from the government. Okay, but now this approval is applicable for 300 plus employees. Okay, organization having 300 plus employees. So now if the employer having 150 or even 200 employees, he can lay off employees without government approval. Next provision under Industrial Relation Code is for fixed term employment. So basically, we have already discussed about gratuity calculation and other benefits which are applicable to fixed term employment. So all the benefit uh, equal to permanent staff. Fixed term employee will get all the benefit equivalent to permanent employees. There are some other provisions like trade union recognition. Negotiation union must have support at least 51% of workers with negotiating councils for multiple unions. So basically, this code is for industrial disputes and industrial relations or trade unions. Our next code is the code on social security. So, under new code on social security, mm, PF and ESIC coverage, PF, ESIC, gratuity, maternity, etc. coverage were extended to all employees, whether they are permanent, whether they are contractual, whether they are FT, fixed term employees, whether they are gig workers, whether they are platform workers, whether they are temporary workers. Okay, so even for daily wages. So basically, the government focused on unorganized sector mainly, that gig workers, plantation, daily wages should also get the social security. Okay. Secondly, the ESIC is applicable on sorry, on all the employees without a notified area. So earlier the under non-notified area ESIC is not applicable. Now ESI is applicable pan India basis. Okay. And also um, like PF and ESIC coverage was different. So there are high chance one second. So basically, the Social Security Code repeals these 9 acts. Okay, so if I talk about ESI Act, okay, so ESI Act is applicable when employer having 10 employees, 10 and more. So we are if we talk about PF, so employer having 20 employees. If I talk about gratuity, there are different limit. If I talk about maternity, there are different limit. If I talk about building and other construction worker, there are different limit. So all these acts are having different applicable limits. So now there are high chances that these different threshold of employees will be uh, mm, will be merged, and there are high chances that a single threshold will be issued by central government in rules, of course, yet to finalize, yet to publish. So in rules there are high chances that a single limit will be applicable for all these acts. So if any organization having that number of, let's suppose, 10, so any organization having 10 and more employees, all these acts like PF, ESI, gratuity, bonus, just because there are no PF act right now. I'm not talking about that the PF act has been repealed. No, not yet repealed fully. Just because if these codes were fully implemented with proper rules, etc., then only such 9 acts will be repealed. Right now, these new labor codes and the old acts, of course, PF, ESI, etc., are continuously applicable for organizations. So once the rules will be drafted, then a single limit will be issued by government, and that limit will decide that the provision of social security. Then after that, there will be no limit for PF, ESI, maternity individually. There will be limit of for single social security for so that there will be a single limit in future, that after on having 10 employees, the limit of the provision of social security will be applicable on organization, and social security provisions cover PF, ESIC, maternity, gratuity, all. Next is enhanced maternity benefit. Uh, if we talk about earlier law, that is maternity benefit, maternity. So, in maternity act, there are also limit of 26 week of maternity benefits, maternity leave. So, what is the difference? Actually, the maternity act is applicable only a particular employees, okay, as per that act's threshold. But now the act is applicable on, if let's suppose, if we on an organization, let's suppose ESI is applicable and rest of the acts are not applicable. Let's suppose rest of 8 acts are not applicable. So in that, for that organization, such maternity benefit will of course not applicable. But if I talk about new labor code scenario, so here if there are single limit, you can assume now there are single limit. Still practically it will be issued by government in future, but as per clarification or as per notification by government, we can say that if an organization, the code is applicable if on an organization, then the code will be applicable for PF, for ESI, for gratuity, for maternity, and such all the benefits will be provided. All the benefits will be given to the employees by the employer. So maternity benefit of 26 week was officially applicable on all organization. We can say that if the social security code is applicable on all organization, then the maternity benefit of 26 week of females, of women, is applicable on all organization. Next is there is a provision of crutches. Okay, if any organization having 50 and more female workers, okay, so then the employer should employer shall provide crèches facility for their females children's. Okay, so this facility is also currently under Factories Act. There is a provision under Factories Act that in a factory there should be crèches. But again, that provision is applicable for only factory. But as per Code on Social Security, this provision is applicable on everything. Let's suppose if on CFM, if I talk about CFM, in a CFM, if the Code on Social Security is applicable, then and CFM having 50 and more employees, then even such CFM have to comply with crèches facility provision. Okay, such CFM mandatorily provide their female employees crèches facility. So the coverage is extended by consolidating these acts into in these four codes. Next is aggregation of establishment. Of course, that is also multiple establishment of same employer can be aggregated to determine applicability threshold. Of course, if we have multiple offices, multiple branches, so for applicability, all the establishment will be taken for calculation purpose for computation, and of course preventing fragmentation to avoid compliance. Next is occupational safety, health, and working condition code 2020. Of course, this code repealed many acts which are the list of acts are here. The Occupational Health, Safety and Working Condition Code has repealed these acts. The main act is under this code is Factory Act. There are, of course, many provision. Most of the provision under this code is taken from Factories Act. Also, of course, the Contract Labor Regulation Act and Interstate Migrant Worker Acts. So, as per the new code OSHW, annual health checkup provision has made. Employer need to mandatorily provide. We have discussed in government issued government notification that employer need to provide medical health checkup for all employees having age 40 and more, at least once in a year. Working conditions, and of course that is for 40 plus employee. And there is another provision of annual health checkup if the industry is hazardous. Okay, any hazardous proceedings, or sorry, hazardous activities are organization engaging in hazardous activities, then such organization, such employer mandatorily examine health conditions or of their workers annually. Okay, there are no age limit. Okay, so that limit is for every employee for annual health checkup, and this is for hazardous industry. So here hazardous industries need to provide annual health checkup, need to ascertain their or secure their health checkup of all their employees. Next, working condition, maximum 8 hours allowed, but 12 hours per day also allowed in the code, but maximum 48 hours in a week allowed. But overtime can be done. Overtime limit is 50 hours in a quarter, same as previous. But the state government can choose different limit, such as Haryana government in after implementing these new labor codes, that is after 21st November, I think on 25th approx, the Haryana government decided their overtime as 156 hours in a quarter. So state government can choose different limit as earlier. Next is safety standards. So this code is also deals about safety standards like in mines, in other construction site, plantation workers. The worker should get the proper safety concerns. The worker should employers should liable for their health and safety. Next is women safety. Women are, of course, allowed in night shift or in hazardous activity. The employer should make sure their safety, their transportation, etc. Like installation of CCTV at every place and providing cab facility from and to office and home, between office and home. So these the code deals in such type of health, safety, and working conditions of the. Like, so next point is what immediate compliance requirement. Compliance section is required. So firstly, if you are industry, if you are a consultant, if you are employer, you need to firstly review your payroll, your wage structure. Of course, if your basic is less than 50%, you have to comply proper basic and ensure new definition. There are major conflicts in ESIC applicability. We will discuss in some time. So, firstly, you need to review your employment records. If the employment records are not as per new codes, you have to update their payroll, their registers, etc. You have to hire some train HRs, of course, or you have to provide training to your existing HRs. If you have multi-state registrations, so you have to update their establishment under unified code. What will be the compliance for multi-state organizations? So these are some requirements. Okay. So basically, there are some other changes we will discuss. Okay, so one of uh, changes that for there are some disqualification for eligibility of bonus. Okay, as per bonus act, there are three disqualification earlier. Okay, like if the employee is engaging in fraud activity, theft and misappropriation, and violent behavior. So there are three reasons where employer get right to forfeit their bonus, or employee is disqualified from bonus. Now, as per new labor code, one more condition under disqualification is also added, which is sexual harassment. So, if employee is convicted in sexual harassment activity, then such employee is disqualified for bonus, even he has worked more than 30 days in a year. Next change is earlier the claim time limit for minimum wages, payment of wages, and bonus was for 6 months. Now the time limit revised and set in this code is for 3 years. Actually, earlier the time limit for minimum wages is for 6 months and bonus and payment of wages is for 1 month. Now the both limit are fixed as 1 year. 3 years. Earlier the person who inspect or organization from labor department were called inspector. Now the inspector renamed as facilitator. Okay, and such facilitator get more powers. Their territory extended, their powers extended, and of course he has the power of web-based electronic inspection. Okay, so now the inspector has given the power of inspection through web-based electronic inspection. These new labor codes were made strict. These new labor codes made strict provisions. Earlier there are limited penalty, but now penalty has increases by government. Earlier 500 to 20,000 approx on an average. Now up to 1 lakh penalty made. Gratuity provision, I already discussed that there are three limit: 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years. One more important changes is that now the minimum wages will not cover HRA. Okay, so minimum wages will cover only basic and DA part. So right now, if we pre-labor reform, if I talk about pre-labor reform scenario, so there are different provisions of minimum wage. Some state government issue basic plus DA, some state government issue direct wages, like Rajasthan government issued only wages. So basically it will be considered as minimum wages, whether even you can consider it gross wages. Okay, but uh, that time there was no clarification up to that time. Now the government clarified that the minimum wages will be sorry, basic and DA. Next, so overtime payment was made double if we employee works on holiday. Okay, uh, uh, weekly holiday must be provided by employer. So if a employee works on weekly holiday, employee have two options. Okay, whether he can get compensatory leave or he can get double payment on that weekly holiday work. If you are working on Sunday, you have to get double. If you will get, if you will convert this into money, or if you will not get compensatory leave, if employer allow you that you can convert your working in money, so you will get double payment for holiday work, and of course it will be treated as overtime. Women also allowed for medical bonus up to 3,500 for prenatal confinement. I already told that for gig workers, the companies hiring them will were will make a, mandatorily set up a fund under which in which they will contribute 1 to 2%, maximum 5% are limit, but 1 to 2% is notified right now. So after rules, it will be finalized that how much amount it will be. The companies will transfer into that fund. Also definition of interstate migrant worker were modified, and the wage selling limit were also added. 18,000 selling limit is for interstate migrant worker. So these are some changes. uh, in cracks we can say that once the mm, government issue rules for these four codes, only after that the true picture will come. Okay, unless till then the employer need to follow existing law plus new labor code. In case of conflict, then you can choose whatever, but in my opinion try to follow new labor code only. unless you are not so much comfortable. So this is the our session key takeaway, which is four labor code represent historical simplifications. Of course, the purpose of these code was obviously simplification and hence protection of for workers with improved compliance and smooth transition. So these are the code. Thank you so much. If you have any query, you can ask, of course.
Okay, so can I take one or few questions? Already
Yeah,
we have done with the timeline, but if you permit, we can take up some questions.
sure.
Please provide the recording of the session to all participants. That we'll do at our end. The question is, if I work for 8 hours on weekly holidays and company give me half day compensatory leave, is it lawfully?
No, 8 hours in a week, in every day of week.
Okay.
No, yeah. What is your question that you
Yeah, I am
want?
reading the question again. If I work for 8 hours on weekly holiday and
Eight
company
hours,
gives me half day compensatory leave, is it lawful?
8 hours on weekly holiday. Of course not. If you are working 8 hours in weekly holiday, you will get for 16 hours payment, or you will get a single compensatory leave, not half day, for full day.
Okay. Um, More questions are there. Is providing DA in payroll structure mandatory for our employer?
No, there is no requirement to fix. If your state government issue minimum wages and such minimum wages such minimum wages required to fix DA, then you can put. Otherwise, you have not follow your DA requirement. You can just put your basic as 50%.
The request is to share the presentations and also asking for the where to get this PDF of laws which you are sharing.
Sure, ma'am. I'll share.
Hmm. So these are the questions, sir. So rest of the questions I will mail you if in case you find it time to give them the answers on mail, sir.
Sure,
So we can wind up our session of today.
sure.
Thank you. Yeah, on behalf of ICI and CCLEA and NPU committee, I extend a warm welcome to all participants and we request to I give my thankful consideration for your time, for your valuable inputs and such enriched knowledge. So your session was really productive and very insightful for all of us. Thank you so much again for your time and your vast knowledge, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, all participants.
Yes.